All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Just close my eyes again. Climbed aboard the dream, weave a chain. Driver, take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. Oh, dream weaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
And welcome back to the X Zone, hour 2 of tonight's show, and we're coming to you on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. And I am Rob McConnell, and I'm with you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight. Like I said, right here in the X Zone on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed on classic1220.ca. Dreams, everybody has them. What is a dream? How do we interpret the dreams that we have? How important are dreams to our sanity, our everyday life? Well, these are just some of the questions I'm going to be asking our guest this hour, Dr. Stephen Aizenstat, and we're going to be talking about dreams. And joining me now from California is Dr. Stephen. And Dr. Stephen, welcome to the X Zone.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, indeed.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Doctor.
Well, I'm here in California, as you mentioned.
Yep.
I was the founder of the Pacifica Graduate Institute, which is a graduate school that specializes in depth psychology. And, you know, my interest in dreams happened really when I was younger, when I was a little boy, actually. And I started dreaming, and dreams found me. And, you know, then junior high school comes, and you forget about all that, and that's not really present. And there was nobody really to be present to talk with me or listen. Then things evolved, went to the university, met some people that were interested in dreams, and really started to take hold at that point in time. Then at Pacifica, I met wonderful people. I became close to Joseph Campbell. There was a woman named Marion Woodman, James Hillman, a number of people that were really in that imaginal field, working with dreams and imagination.
Well, let's just have a very simple question. What is a dream?
Isn't that the great question?
I think it is.
It is. And I particularly enjoy the opening lyrics, Dream Weaver. And what is a dream? A dream, in my experience, dreams originate from a place that is different than waking experience, right? Dreams come forward in metaphor, riddle, rhyme, imagery, different than our rational mind, actually. And a dream, I think, comes always with a message, always with guidance, always with something that we're not fully aware of. So dreams originate in the wisdom, the teachings of the deep imagination, and present themselves. Of course, are dreams always pleasant? No. Sometimes they are very difficult, nightmarish, sometimes even horrific. They grip us. Other times, beautiful, you know, and something life-affirming. So dreams have a life of their own, but they almost always have a message of importance to offer us.
What is the physiological aspect of a dream? How does it happen?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a curious thing because whether we remember the dream in the morning or not, dreams are forever happening. In fact, we go into what's called REM, it's this quality of sleep, and there's 3-4 dreams a night usually that come forward. The brain shifts in its neurophysiology, and a dream will be created, concocted, and then presented. And without those dreams, because now it's possible with all that we have at our disposal to interrupt sleep right at the point of this REM or dream sleep starting. And if you do that with a person, and they still sleep, but they miss those segments of the dreaming, they really go really nuts. So it's really vital to our life, and it's like breathing or eating. It's required, really.
And of course, that's where the phrase sleep deprivation comes in, because of the the psychological experimentation that has been done by the three-letter agencies. And I'm not going to mention the CIA, of course, but we know that they have used dream deprivation, and it's very, very useful. And as you said, we need to dream. So is this where we do a lot of our defragging, is in the dream state?
I think so. I mean, I think that's a way of putting it. Something happens at night, in a curious way. We're processing what's going on during the day. We are putting things together that would not otherwise be apparent. And that's when we get into the interpretation of dreams, or the analysis of dreams, trying to understand how the dream is either commenting on the situation of the day, right? Or making a correction, a suggestion, offering a teaching, maybe even a warning. So that's primarily, I would say 85% of people that work with dreams move in that direction, listening to the dream, responding to the last 24, 48 hours of our daylight experience.
So what is your definition of dream tending?
Yeah, well, it's different than dream interpretation and dream analysis. Everything I just mentioned, I think, is important. It is. And when I'm working with people, I'll listen to the dream and associate the images or the themes or the landscapes of the dream, the emotions of the dreams to the last 24, 48 hours, because of what I just mentioned. It offers insight that we might not otherwise have. But to tend a dream tending, is something altogether different, right? In addition to interpreting and analyzing, we attend. We allow the figures of the dream to come forward, and we host them. We host their presence, as if, because I believe they are, they have their own autonomy in a lot of ways. They actually have an imaginal presence, different than our physical presence, of course, but imaginally, they have a sense of presence and pulse, even breath and body. And so when we tend to a dream, we host the dream. And then we listen to the stories from the inside out that the images themselves have to share with us.
So is it fair to say that when we're asleep, the dream state then becomes our reality?
Yes, I think it's very fair to say that.
Yeah.
And not only when we're asleep, right? Even sometimes when we're awake. I call those waking dreams, and we all experience it, right? So we're walking down the street, or we're walking into a naturescape or a cityscape, and all of a sudden something awakens. Our curiosity gets evoked. It's not like we're on task. We're not trying to fulfill a necessary function, as important as that is. I mean, all of us every day are in the business of doing that. But something else happens. And, it shifts. Our perception changes just a bit, as if we are in a dream state. And so I named those waking dreams. And it's really curious to be in that state of mind, that state of presence. Things change.
Is daydreaming a waking dream?
I think so. I think we are in a dream-like state. And I think it really is, it's an awakening of another quality of awareness, another way of seeing the world, being in the world. We're daydreaming. I know for many it's imagined as a distraction, or there's something frivolous about that, or it takes us away from the, the intentionality of our task or the day. But I think there's something more going on. When we're in a daydream, we are in truly another state of consciousness, and something is happening. And when we take the time to listen, to actually tend to what is coming forward, it's remarkable what occurs.
It seems that when we're daydreaming, that daydream is part of our existing reality of consciousness, and it kind of puts the rest of the consciousness in automatic drive.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
The rest of consciousness goes into an automatic drive,
Hmm.
and then something else becomes primary, right? There's a primary, the daydream itself, that quality of consciousness becomes primary, and the tasks of the day kind of are secondary, right? Important as
Hmm.
they are, but not really what's front and center.
A lot of people say, let me sleep on the problem. And they wake up in the morning, and in the majority of times, the problem is solved. And they'll say, well, it came to me in a dream.
Yeah.
How do we explain that, doctor?
Well, it's a great phrase, really. It's abundant,
Hmm.
that phrase, you know. I'm going to take my problem, I'm going to sleep on it and see what happens. And I wake up and there's some kind of solution. Or often there's not an apparent solution, but there's something that happened that is a commentary. I mean, often people will say, I woke up and I feel not only refreshed, but whatever I was worried about
Hmm.
seemed to get resolved in the dreaming, in the experiences of the night. Other times, people will have that same experience, sleep on a problem, wake up in the morning, and oh, I don't know what the heck happened. That was the weirdest dream. It was so bizarre. In fact, it was even scary or threatening at times. And yet, when we tend to the imagery, even though it's difficult sometimes and challenging, forever I found in myself personally, and the many, many people that I've worked with now over the decades, that there is something, a perspective, a message, a commentary that's coming forward from the dream time itself, from the deeper dimensions of our consciousness.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Dr. Stephen Aizenstat. I hope I pronounced it well, doctor. And we're talking about dreams and dreamwork. If you'd like to find out more about the good doctor, visit his website at dreamtending.com. That's www.dreamtending.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Now, if you have a dream that has boggled your mind, a dream that you just haven't been able to forget, a dream that came true, or a prophetic dream, I'd like to hear from you. Send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, or right here to the studio, xzone at classic1220.ca. And we'll be back on the other side of this short break, because dreams are the topic this hour here in the X Zone. So whatever you do, don't go away and don't fall asleep. But if you do, have a good dream. We'll be right back.
All the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. California dreaming on such a winter's day. Stopped into a church, I passed along the way. Well, I got
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and my guest this hour is Dr. Stephen Aizenstat, and we're talking about dreams. And dreams have been a big part of society. Like, do your dreams come true? If you dream it, you will possess it. The girl of my dreams, and so on. So it seems, doctor, that dreams are a very significant part of our day-to-day life.
Yes, absolutely. If I dream it, it comes true.
Mm-hmm.
The field of dreams. I mean, the metaphor is forever. It suggest that there's something beyond, our logical mind, that there's something else at work, a different kind of intelligence. And when dreams come forward, not only do they take us into that additional place, that other consciousness, that other dimension of our life experience, but there's a promise in that, the song Dream Weaver. There's something about that dream weaver that we're curious about. I mean, who is weaving the dream? I mean, it's often said most people when they dream, and not everybody dreams in imagery. Some of us, when we wake up in the morning, it's like we have an experience. We are tight in the stomach, or wake up in a mood of some sort, and but we can't remember the imagery. And yet something happened in the night, or I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? And something has happened in the night that creates that mood. And there's a dreaming process going on, right? Something else is participating in our life experience.
Why is it that we remember some dreams and other dreams we don't remember? For example, I can go with what I believe to be maybe a week, 2 weeks without a dream, and then I have a dream. And yet, I know after sharing my conversations with people like you over the years that whether or not I do remember a dream or not, I've actually dreamt.
Yes, as we talked about, we're dreaming all the time. Sometimes we're remembering, sometimes we're not. I think what I've experienced as most obvious is that when we get interested or curious about dreams, our dream memory increases. The times that we remember dreams, we remember more and more dreams. It's called dream recall. And actually, the new research that's just come out suggests that dream recall at the moment is at an all-time high. People are remembering more dreams than ever before. Part of that is because of the world that we're living in, and it's difficult and challenging. So the dreaming psyche is picking that up, and we're unfortunately remembering a lot of dreams that are not pleasant. But we do remember dreams that really get our attention. And I think to the extent that we befriend them, that we say, hey, this is something that I want to participate in, like any friendship. When we extend ourselves, become good hosts, the dreams then will come forward.
What, years ago, Doctor, we didn't have cell phones beside our beds. We didn't have Bluetooth connections. We didn't have as many microwave towers out in the metropolis and cell towers. What kind of interruption, not only in our sleep, but especially in the dream world, do these new electronic gadgets cause within our psyche?
Yeah, that's a great question, and particularly for little ones, children now. There's so much screen time. It's almost a cyber addiction at times. And does that affect dreaming and dream recall? Well, the evidence suggests that it does, actually. That to the extent that we're absorbed in a kind of virtual reality of one sort or the next, it takes away imaginal reality. It replaces that. And we're almost subject to the programmer's code rather than the, natural cadence and the DNA of our beingness.
Years ago, they used to talk about subliminal advertising on television. Look at, I believe that we are submitted to subliminal advertising every time we go on the web.
Oh, yes, I think so. And interestingly, when I'm working with dreams now, when I'm tending to dreams, I have to be conscious, which wasn't the case 15, 20 years ago. What I'm saying is that now when I'm tending dreams, some dreams sustain their authenticity, are rooted in the organicity or the psyche, the natural psyche, right? Other dreams are programmed, not only in relation to, family scripts and other people's expectations, but
Right.
that subliminal programming that you're mentioning. So now I need to differentiate between innate image and a counterfeit image. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
sure do.
some dreams are just a repetition of what we have been seeing or conditioned into, mostly by an advertising industry.
So, Doctor, do you teach people how to dream tend?
Yes, yes, I do. And I offer workshops and skill sets, and the book Dream Tending, a new edition just came out. So I do offer people very particular skills and ways of tending to dreams, to host the dream, and to really, like we just said, differentiate what is not really fully authentic to the dream itself that does come forward, that has something to share. So useful for people, honestly. You know, the kind of instruction, the nature of the guidance that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So helpful.
What is the dream paradigm?
Well, the paradigm, I think, in the broadest sense, is a state of imagination. It is really the paradigm that I'm working from, at least, has to do with listening to the deep imagination expressing itself through images. Now, let me just take it out one step.
All right.
All right. So we are, and this will differentiate dream tending, this approach, from most other more traditional approaches. We'll listen to the psyche express itself. More often than not, we are connected with what's going on in our personal life, and how what's going on in our personal life is linked to our personal history, right? Of course, that's the place of what's called developmental psychology. We're all affected by what went on early in our life or over the last couple of decades. That's that part of it, and that's very real. The other is then, comes Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, and the women and men that followed in that tradition, suggest in addition to that personal developmental psyche, there's something else. That was called collective. So there's a collective unconscious, very popular in the world of dreaming. In dream tending, we extend that because even the collective unconscious has to do with collective human experience for the most part. The stories, the mythic motifs, the archetypal interpretation, analysis of dreams. Dream tending takes it one more step and suggests, in addition to people dreaming, the creatures, the landscapes, even the buildings in the world, they too are dreaming. Oh, it's different than how people dream. Of course it is. But the buildings, the ocean, the spirit of a lake, there is something about the creatures, the landscapes, things of the world that are expressing themselves. And in the dream time, we can hear those voices as expressed through the imagery in dream. I can't say how important that is in my life experience. When I participate with the United Nations and with the Earth Charter International ecological sustainability, just on that level alone, to hear the creatures, the things, the oceans, the mountains, the cities of the world speak on behalf of themselves, to listen to those voices, so useful and practical, applied, right? Not just esoteric or metaphoric. When we're really looking at policy formation, when we're working with kind of eco-sustainability, we need to get more information that only the rational mind can provide. When we're listening to other species, how do we hear their voices? How do we include and let them participate?
Doctor, I'll agree with you hands down that animals do dream. I know this for a fact. We have a little fur baby, and we know she dreams, just like our great-grandchildren, our grandchildren, and our children dream. But I'm having a hard time trying to imagine a building dreaming. Help me out here.
I will. A landscape is easy, right? Because we have a sense of spirit of place.
Yeah.
We can feel the place itself. A building too, though, that is a stretch. That's harder to grasp, except for the fact that we've all heard that phrase, if walls could talk. Well, you could imagine that walls do talk, that
How?
they somehow hold the stories. Or we walk into a place and we feel it alive in a particular way. It's different than being alive like I am, like a person is, or
Right.
an animal is, or
Okay.
even the landscape. But there is something about certain places when we enter. When we enter a cathedral, there's something that happens, that opens. When we enter a building that has a certain kind of aura about it, we know, that there's something alive and offering a story. And two, when we enter a building that is, in disrepair, that is needing attention, we can feel its pain. If you have a moment, I can share a quick story about that.
What I'd like to do is we have to take our next break at the bottom of the hour in about 1 minute and 30 seconds from now. But I certainly do want to come back and discuss this further. But like I said, animals, I agree 100%. Anything living, I agree 100%. But when it comes to a building, I just can't fathom that.
Okay, after the break, we'll talk about that.
All right, stand by, Dr. Exo Nation. Our guest this hour is Dr. Stephen Aizenstat. And his website is www.dreamtending.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this break. And during the break, send me an email. Can you believe or can you imagine a building having a dream? I don't know. That's just like saying a rock having a dream. And can it? Who knows? In today's world, with the research that is going on, anything is possible. I'm Rob McConnell, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and around the world on classic1220.ca.
Stopped into a church, I passed along the way.
The following is a Relmar McConnell Media Company presentation. I am your host, Brooke McGuire. In this presentation, I examine MJ12, the controversial conspiracy theory surrounding a secret government group. MJ12, also known as Majestic 12, is a secretive government committee that has captivated the imaginations of conspiracy theorists and UFO enthusiasts for decades. The alleged existence of MJ12 centers around claims of a covert group established in the United States after the Roswell UFO incident in 1947. This article explores the origins, evidence, and controversies surrounding the MJ12 conspiracy theory, providing a comprehensive analysis of its claims and implications. Origins and leaked documents. The MJ12 conspiracy theory gained prominence in the 1980s with the emergence of documents known as the Majestic 12 documents. These papers, purportedly leaked from government sources, detailed the establishment of a secret committee by an executive order from President Harry S. Truman. The documents outlined MJ12's mission to investigate and cover up evidence of extraterrestrial visitation and the recovery of crashed UFOs. Document authenticity and skepticism. The authenticity of the Majestic 12 documents remains a subject of intense debate. Skeptics argue that the papers are elaborate hoaxes, pointing to inconsistencies in formatting, language usage, and historical inaccuracies. Critics also highlight the lack of credible corroborating evidence and the absence of testimonies from credible government or intelligence officials. Various forensic examinations of the documents have yielded conflicting results, further fueling the skepticism surrounding their authenticity. Proponents and beliefs. Supporters of the MJ12 theory argue that the leaked documents provide compelling evidence of a government cover-up. They believe that MJ12 was responsible for handling crashed UFO recoveries, reverse engineering alien technology, and maintaining strict secrecy around extraterrestrial contact. Proponents highlight alleged insider testimonies and whistleblowers who claim to have knowledge of the committee's existence and activities. They contend that the secrecy surrounding MJ12 is necessary to prevent societal upheaval and to protect national security. Government involvement and conspiracy theories. The MJ12 theory intertwines with broader conspiracy narratives involving government secrecy and cover-ups. Some conspiracy theorists believe that MJ12 represents a shadow government or deep state that controls global affairs behind the scenes. Others link the alleged committee to secretive organizations like the Illuminati or claim that MJ12 operates outside the bounds of constitutional governance. Debunking and critical analysis. Critics and researchers have scrutinized the MJ12 theory, offering alternative explanations for the alleged evidence. Skeptics argue that the inconsistencies and lack of verifiable proof undermine the credibility of the claims. They point to more plausible explanations, such as misinterpretations, fabrications, and the influence of cultural beliefs and urban legends on the formation of collective memory. Impacts and cultural significance. The MJ12 conspiracy theory has had a significant impact on popular culture, inspiring numerous books, documentaries, and movies. It has become a central theme in UFO lore and has shaped public perceptions of government secrecy and the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. The theory has also sparked ongoing debates within the UFO research community, influencing discussions on disclosure, government transparency, and the search for truth regarding potential extraterrestrial phenomena. Conclusion. The MJ12 conspiracy theory continues to captivate the minds of individuals fascinated by government secrets and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. While proponents argue that the leaked documents offer compelling evidence, skeptics emphasize the lack of credible corroboration and point to inconsistencies that raise doubts about their authenticity. The ongoing debate surrounding MJ12 highlights the enduring allure of conspiracy theories and the human fascination with the unknown. As long as the mysteries surrounding MJ12 persist, discussions about government secrecy, extraterrestrial visitation, and the boundaries of human knowledge will undoubtedly continue.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you'll never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. My very special guest this hour is Dr. Stephen Aizenstat. His website is dreamtending.com. Doctor, you were going to tell me or help me understand how buildings can have dreams.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned rocks and buildings.
Yeah.
Which one would you prefer, rocks and or buildings?
I thought you were going to ask me if rocks, scissors, or hammers. But anyway, let's go with rocks first, because rocks are part of what concrete is made of. So let's go with the basics of rocks.
All right, let's do that, and let me do it quickly. I'm 12 years old, right? And I live in California, and there is this beach. I live in the San Fernando Valley suburb of Los Angeles, and my parents would take us over the hill, and we would land at this place called Zuma Beach. Zuma Beach, amazing place. The big public parking lots, the lifeguard stands, the big signs, food here. The thing is about Zuma Beach is that it would be a big, sprawling public beach, big white sand, lots of people and families and kids and everybody. Mm-hmm. But there was a reef, and we were always told, please do not go on the other side of that reef. Do not cross over. That is not permitted. Well, you're 12, you're curious, the tide goes way out, it's a low tide. And of course, I did what I was not supposed to do, crossed over, walked around, sat on some, in some tide pools, on some rocks in some tide pools, and just started to reflect. And always have had this experience of something more than what we visually can experience, right? There's something more at work. At that moment, a person behind me, I heard a voice from another place. And the voice said, Did you know that rocks can talk? I went, whoa, okay. I've always felt that way. I've thought that since I've been, even younger still, that rocks have a voice, that they can talk. But I never thought anybody else would say anything like that. I looked around, and it was like a deity. I mean, in other words, there was a 16, 17-year-old surfer, right? A guy. But when you're only 11, 12 years old and you look up and see that person, it is like something incredible. Rocks could talk, right? All right, I lose all account of time. And then I look out and notice the ocean is coming back. And if I don't get around that reef quickly, there's going to be a problem. I get up, run around that reef just in time, make it to the civilized side of the beach. And the first thing, of course, my mom sees me. Where have you been? And what am I going to say? I've been to the other side where rocks can talk. The ocean has a voice. Everything is alive. No, I don't say that. I just say, hey, I just was walking down the beach and back. All right, let's fast forward.
Okay.
I'm now in Australia, in Aboriginal land, right? In Arnhem Land, where very few have the privilege and the support to journey. And I talk with an elder. I'm just so fortunate to be able to talk story with this person. And I share a dream. I share a dream of a goanna lizard that happened. And he said, look, through translation, you have permission, go to a place in the landscape, a rock formation called goanna dreaming. So I did. Nobody was allowed. That was sacred Aboriginal land. Actually, I was stopped by a ranger who are very sympathetic to Aboriginal peoples. And he said, well, I can't let you go there. Oh, but I just had the talking story with Bill Neediji, who was the Aboriginal elder of the Dreamtime, one of them. And he said, you got to talk with old Bill Neediji? Oh my goodness, I've never been to Arnhem Land, but certainly with his blessing, you have permission. I went to that place. It looked like a goanna. It was a big outcrop of rock. Mm-hmm. And I heard something, right? It was extraterrestrial in a way, speaking of that, right? It was really something different. It just pulsed through me. It wasn't even words. It was just a deep sense of being touched by the voices, the presence, the spirit of that rock, of that place. I thought nothing of it, honestly. I thought, okay, this is peculiar. And then I get to 5 years later, I'm invited to The Hague to present on behalf of the United States at a little conference, world leaders, all the names. And there was only 80 of us really there at The Hague. And I, along with another person in the United States, Stephen Rockefeller actually, were able to present. And at that moment, it was 4 or 5 days working on the Earth Charter International Initiative. At the end, the presiding presence, actually it was Khrushchev back then, he said, look, I'm sorry, but this isn't working. We spent 4 nights, 5 days. I mean, these were some of the top people, policy formation folks, diplomats, world leaders trying to craft this charter. No, this is not working. I'm just so sad. Oh, the grief in the room was extraordinary. All of a sudden, what happened to me in Australia just ran through me. I happened to be the one at the podium at the time. I was the youngest person in the room, the least experienced for sure. And then something just moved through me. And I just offered. I said, look, perhaps we're asking the wrong question. We're asking the question, what can we do to save the planet? Maybe we turn that question around. What can the planet offer us in relation to saving the world? Right? And there was just a gasp in the room, and they looked at me from the podium. They said, yes, let's do that. We spent the next 4 years on behalf of that initiative collecting images from people that were walking the landscape and that were listening to the rocks that could talk, or the buildings that could talk, or the oceans and the streams and the mountains, and started to weave in some of those wisdom stories, some of those insights that were generated not from the human mind, but from the buildings, the walls, as we were talking about, particularly the rocks. I'll never forget that. If rocks could talk, right? And they do. And they present their language and their imagery, their messages in the symbols the images of the dream.
Stand by. We've got to take our final break. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Dr. Stephen's work, visit his website, dreamtending.com. We'll be back as we wrap up this hour and tonight's show here on the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed at classic1220.ca.
Many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now.
Oh, I could hide 'neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and we rise, wipe the sleep out of our eyes. Your shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
Welcome back, everyone. Is it possible that rocks can talk? Is it possible that buildings can talk? Well, I'd still like to investigate this a little bit more with our guest this hour. I'm talking about Dr. Stephen Aizenstat. Sorry about that, Doctor.
No, that's no problem. Yes.
If I was to get a ticket for every time I mispronounced a name, boy, would I be out of a lot of money. But thank you very much for joining us tonight. Okay, so I'm still having a bit of a problem when you're talking about rocks talking. Now, I think it's more of a metaphorical example than a real example, because I've never talked to anybody, and I've done the show now for this is my 34th year, who said that rocks talk.
Oh, yeah, but there's so many stories about rocks talking or buildings talking, having a voice, right? They're animated, they're part of literature, children's stories. It's not literal. Rocks can't talk like I can talk. They can't use words like we use words. Of course
Right.
not. But there is a spirit of place, and there is a sense of the sacred, or not even the sacred. Let's not even go there. There
Okay.
is a sense of, the things of the world, animate and inanimate, that have a psychic presence and express themselves, right? And there's a reason why peoples from the beginning have chosen certain places, certain canyons, certain mountains, certain desertscapes that feel resonant and deeply sacred. There's a reason for that, because there is a voice of another kind that is being expressed. If you like, I'll give you one quick example. There's a woman in where I live in California, Santa Barbara, big real estate area, right? So people are forever selling, buying homes,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. This woman, forever, 5 years in a row, and continuing to this day, is one of the top real estate agents and nobody knows how she does it. I mean, how in the world does this woman forever sell these homes like she does? And she then came to work with me. She was one of my workshops, one of my dream workshops. She said, what I just don't tell people is that ever since I was a little girl, I'd walk to school. And when I'd walk to school, I'd walk by the houses. And I always felt that these houses, each of them, they kind of have a personality, It's kind of like I'm walking and I say hello, and I even hear them responding back. Okay, so we're in imagination, children's play, right? Children's imagination. And she's hearing that. She said, I've carried that to this day. And I know all the other agents, what they do is they do all the kinds of things that they're trained into to try to help sell a house to a particular customer. I don't do that. I take the time to first walk around the home. I do. I spend the time to listen to that house, to experience its personality, its voice. Then when I meet the people that are going to be the buyers, what I do is I try to match. I match the buyer's desire, their hopes, with the personality of the home that I'm selling. You hear? I mean, she's trying to really make a connection that is not literal necessarily. It is metaphoric, but it's also emotional and psychological. Honestly, to this day, so it's applied. It's not just fantasy, right? She is still, to this day, the top seller in the real estate market in this county.
All right, so what she basically does is she spends a lot of time doing research, looking at the home, walking around the home, getting a feel for the home, and then matching the home that she felt that would best suit a buyer. I can buy that. I can understand that fully.
Yes.
You know,
And
so I think what we need to do is we need to draw a line between reality and a bit of spirituality in there as well.
yes, and imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's the reality. I'm I'm very much applied. I've been a clinician, a therapist, and a school teacher, and a professor and author. So I am very much in the world of the applied.
Right.
And two, when imagination steps in, we feel the support of imagination and the resources of imagination. And dreams are expressions of imagination. And it's really helpful, I think, for us to begin to, even if I can use these words, add dream and imagination to our way of being in life. So many good things happen just in an applied way. We can't really be curious and depressed at the same time, not authentically curious. And we can't really be curious and innovative and in imagination and anxious at the same time. Both of those are reciprocal inhibitors. And truly, I work with people that have been deeply wounded and lots of trauma and those kinds of things. So I don't want to shortchange that. I get that. I've lived that for decades now in terms of helping people. And two, when imagination comes in, we invite a bigger story to come into our life. And when we get genuinely curious and imagination comes forward, something shifts physiologically, psychologically, and emotionally. It's really remarkable what can happen.
I agree with you that the imagination that a person has and the imagination that grows in children is very important. And over the years, I've seen how the imagination has helped a number of people. But I can't associate that with talking rocks, Doctor. I'm sorry.
You can't. You can't. You're not. When you watch children play, don't you ever hear them have their imaginary friends?
Oh, definitely. But you see, the way I look at it is,
Yes.
how do we know that they are imaginary friends? How do we know that the children who haven't been spoiled by society or corrupted by the educational system, who are pure, open books, just like that new book drive you get from Amazon before you plug it into your computer? They're pure. How do we know that they're not seeing and communicating with people, spirits that we can't see because we've been corrupted by society, the educational system, and by all the fake news that is out there?
Well, I think we're saying the same thing. I totally concur. I believe that, when the imagination is supported in its own autonomy, it's not conditioned, it's not subject to what I said earlier, a programming code of some sort, or the fake news, or a set of expectations that we are grown up with. When it's not, then there's something else that occurs, that we're open and we can be responsive and receptive to the imagination in things other than people.
In today's society, one of the biggest issues that we have is addiction.
Yes.
How can dream tending help addiction recovery?
It certainly can. I have a whole chapter in the book Dream Tending on just that, on working with dreams and addiction. And in our short moment here, addiction can run in families, in lineages, right? And of course, we need to do all the kinds of things that are prescribed. There's, the place for AA support groups and a lot of things. In addition, though, we can work with imagination and dream, and it's so effective and useful. For example, just imagining the phrase, there's a spirit in the bottle. Spirits, right?
Yeah.
What happened 2 generations ago where one of the members of our lineage got caught. The spirit was too big, couldn't hold it, right? Started to drink. Then the chemical itself has its own addictive properties, of course, biologically, physiologically. And two, there's something else going on. So it's really helpful to take addiction and then to notice, right? Who is that spirit? It's an art of personifying that, bringing it out in the open, and dreams will do that. They'll offer images or pictures of that particular figure that has such grasp on us, right? Such tenacity that really can grip our life and our soul. But if we keep it inside and then it's supported by the substance, one thing happens. If we, on the other hand, move it out of feeling possessed by it and putting it in front of us, we can develop a relationship with that spirit. Who are you? Mm-hmm. Who's visiting now? And that image will come in the dream time.
Are we not giving those who require addiction recovery an scapegoat by using this kind of thought process?
No, I don't think. I think that in the recovery programs themselves, mm-hmm. they go there as well, right? There's a belief in the 12 steps. You're going to believe in something in addition to your own presence. It's too much for the ego alone to do it. You need group support, and you need a transcendent or a spiritual support. You need something in addition that can really be present for you in order to deal with the tenacity of that addictive process.
You know, it's amazing to think that one person gets into this addiction hole, and that's just one person, yet it takes so many people as well as so many resources to get them on the road to recovery.
Yeah, it's true. But here I'll say something on the edge again, but we are in the zone, right?
Yes, we are, sir.
Okay, so yes, it takes community. It takes expertise. It takes formulation, in other words, the program itself, mm-hmm. and it takes a full-on community of support to really help, and a sponsor, to really help a person navigate through that. In addition to the outer community, there's an inner community, right? Each of us is blessed with an inner community of figures. They may be memories simply of elders, mentors, ancestors, even our pets that have been so precious to us, the beloveds, right? Yeah. There's an inner community of figures, and they can be of enormous support as well. We need the outer community and the inner community. Where do we hear the presence of the inner community? When we tend to dreams, even though we may deny or push those figures away, they'll come forward, step forward, and say, hey, here we are. And to the extent that we can tend to their presence, tend to their presence, invite them into our life as part of that inner support community, really good things can happen.
Doctor, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. And you've certainly given me a new way of looking at rocks and buildings. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to call you up and say, you know what, Stephen? You're right. I heard a rock and I got your message. So thanks very much for joining us, sir.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Take care, Doctor. And X Zone Nation, if you'd like more information about Dr. Stephen, visit his website, dreamtending.com. Well, that's it for tonight, X Zone Nation. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed on classic1220.ca. So until tomorrow night, my friends, always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.